Today in Washington, the Iraqi government, backed by the Obama administration, is kicking off its biggest post-Saddam investment roadshow. Our next guest just came from the Iraq Investment Conference and helps run the only investment bank active in Iraq right now. So here to tell us where he's finding opportunities is Bartle Bull, a former journalist and now a partner at Northern Gulf Partners. Thank you so much for joining us, Bartle. When people hear Iraq, they think risk. What opportunities are you finding?
Well, we're really finding a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Margaret. It's Iraq's an opportunity to get in at rock-bottom prices in a place that's a strong U.S. ally where democracy is taking root very successfully. The legal framework for foreign investment there is very modern, very open for international investors. The population of Iraq is famously well-educated, and Baghdad has been an international center of trade and commerce for centuries. And then, of course, there's Iraq's enormous natural wealth. We can't be bashful about that. I mean, it probably has more oil than anywhere else in the world. So for all these reasons together, it's an opportunity to get in very cheaply to a place that's today one of the fastest growing economies in the world with one of the strongest stock markets.
And so what opportunities are there, though? Is it all telecom? Is it all infrastructure? Apart from oil, what are you looking at?
We're looking at a variety of things, Margaret. First of all, in terms of private equity investments, we're focusing on really sort of basic sectors like financial services and oil and gas and construction, infrastructure, reconstruction. And then in terms of the stock market, the ISX in Baghdad, to us, the most exciting things there are what they call the tourism sector, which is the hotels in Baghdad that have dozens of acres of prime property in downtown Baghdad. Things like Baghdad Soft Drink, a consumer play. They're the regional Pepsi bottler. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, classic emerging markets play is the banks, and the top 5 or 10 public Iraqi banks or publicly listed Iraqi banks are very attractive for the long term.
Well, today at that conference that's underway that you've been at, the Prime Minister of Iraq is there, Secretary Clinton is also there, and about 750 projects are being put up for bid from firms. Are you participating in that?
No, we're not really participating in those, Margaret. We draw a really strong distinction between these state-owned enterprises and Iraqi businesses very connected to the Iraqi government, which we really don't find nearly as attractive as the Iraqi businesses owned by the new breed of modern entrepreneurs who are starting off world-class businesses of their own that don't have any of this baggage and bureaucracy and so on that goes with the state-owned or state-related enterprises. So the private sector is very much more our thing.
There was a piece on this in another publication today on investment opportunities in Iraq, and one thing stood out to me, and I want to read it to you, and that is the CEO of a firm in Canada who does business in Iraq said that he has been told face-to-face by senior representatives of the government ministry that they wanted 15% of any contract they signed, saying in no unspecific terms here that there is very much a cost of doing business in Iraq. Have you found that?
We haven't found that at all, Margaret. I expect I know what part of Iraq that came from. We tend to focus for precisely that reason on southern and central Iraq. In Kurdistan, for example, it's very difficult to do business there without going into, shall we call it, a sort of partnership with the local government. But we haven't found anything remotely like that in the parts of Iraq that we focus in on. And compared to other emerging markets, so we say Mexico, China, Russia, India, corruption is a problem in all of these economies, but we've found it really not to be anything like that kind of anecdote would describe.
And what do you do for business risk insurance? How do you hedge your bets here?
How do we hedge our bets, Margaret? Well, we for some of our private equity investments, there's political risk insurance available from people like OPIC, the U.S. government's political risk arm. But we're also able to, to get very respectable quotes from international insurers, all the big ones that we've heard of. So that side of things, the real risk, though, the real way to mitigate these risks is to do the right deals, Margaret, and that's really where we focus all of our energy, really, and that's about knowing the local landscape. It's about being local, being there full time, having deep roots there, and being known to the Iraqis, and knowing how to navigate these shoals.
Well, presumably your background as a journalist and your coverage of the region helped you a bit with those relationships, as you said, knowledge there. Thank you so much, Bartle Bull of Northern Gulf Partners, for joining us now live from Washington.